Brooks B. Robinson, PhD, wrote an essay in 2015 asking this: why is there no black political party? I've been asking the same question for years. I'll be back. Welcome back, returning folks, and welcome new people. Check out the video in its entirety as it helps the channel out a lot. Let's get into this. I know I'm not the only one who has had this question. With the numerous black people in the political arena, whether they are politicians, national politicians, or public figures or what have you, public leaders, you have to wonder why there is no black political party. A party as the Democrats and the Republicans who represent black interests only nationwide. In my opinion, something isn't right about that. And I know what the issue is. Do you? It's like it's control. If we had our own parties voting for our own interests, putting our own people or pushing our own people in political arena who will represent us and take care of things, issues, and concerns that we have, we wouldn't have to rely or need other people's assistance who will drag us along and then, get what they need and then kick us to the curb. That's what I believe is the reason why we don't have our own black political parties, because you have a lot of politicians and public figures who are acting on their own best interests and also turning a blind eye, So let's get on with this content. This essay is about political parties. We begin with several important questions about political parties, the most important of which may be, why is there no black political party? Beyond the critical questions, we note two important realities about black votes. We ask, why did earlier efforts to raise a black political party fail? In the end, it will take leadership to initiate efforts to organize a black political party. Therefore, we inquire why notable and relatively wealthy black Americans have not sought to solidify a legacy for themselves by seeking to raise a black political party. We end the essay by highlighting what a black political party may actually be able to accomplish. And we issue a call for this effort to be undertaken in the near term. As I said, this essay was written back in 2015. Let's continue. As black Americans with critical questions surface when considering political parties, as the 2016 presidential election approaches, the duopolistic political parties, the Republican and Democratic parties, promise to continue their domination of political landscape. While the status quo is often considered to be efficient, one must wonder why a two-party system dominates and why there are not more political parties in the U.S. At bottom, what do political parties do? Moreover, a very important question that warrants a forthright answer is, why is there no black political party? Despite our social fragmentation, we should ask, given a 40+ million population with well over 20 million eligible voters. Why have Black Americans not organized ourselves into a political party that can leverage this sizable voting bloc to obtain political, economic, and social benefits? In addition, given that we generally vote as a bloc and serve as a median vote, does not forming a Black political party appear as a very logical strategy? This essay explores answers to all these questions, proposes a strategy for establishing a Black political party, and suggests that the time for moving forward on this strategy is now. Real talk. Social media protesting is efficient to an extent, but when you actually, go out there and do the work, write snail mail letters, pen to paper, and emails and show that you're really about that life, you're going to get more, be taken more serious, because anybody can put up a video on social media and rant and complain and virtually protest, but what else are you going to do? What's the follow-up going to look like? From our perspective, the formation of a Black political party is a logical objective that is already in place on a de facto basis with little to no benefits for the average Black Americans. It seems the right thing to do is to formalize a Black political party so that average Black Americans can at least affect positive efforts to gain benefits through a tried and true political process. Questions that baffle the mind. When a Black American begins to think seriously about political parties in the U.S., he usually gets around to the following two questions. 1. Why aren't there more political parties in the U.S., a nation that prides itself on democracy, which is supposed to be all about voice? 2. What do political parties do? In my opinion, they look out for the interests of their own. Whether you're rich, white, poor, white, racist, they look out for their own. Let's continue. The first question is very baffling because so many of the world's democracies operate with few to many political parties. The argument has long been that it is easier to get things done with just two parties as opposed to many. The recent history of gridlock in American political system calls this argument into question. As a possible explanation for a two-party system, we surmise that 2 is a good number for those who want to employ the old trickology that has worked to bamboozle and hoodwink the world for the last 6,000 years. It is an effective divide and conquer scheme. Moreover, when one accounts for the centrist stances that are often adopted in the end by political candidates, essentially one ends up with a blending of the two political parties, i.e., one basic position on which the polity votes. The second question is not so baffling, but it appears to be little understood. In the party of the U.S. president and the two-house Congress, one has the forces that not only establish the nation's legislative agenda, but often by default its economic agenda as well. For Black Americans who are at the bottom of the nation's economic ladder, it makes sense that we would be very interested in influencing the economic agenda and would therefore have a strong interest in influencing political outcomes through the political party process. But there is a third question, which, given the foregoing, is most baffling. Why isn't there a Black political party? As I already mentioned, it may very well be the goal of the most powerful in the country to restrict political parties to give the appearance of choice, a wolf and a fox.
friendly and being a friend, I think, are two different things. I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that...
I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro, who actually differs from the white conservative in the same way that the fox differs from the wolf. Their appetite is the same. Their motives are the same. It's only their mannerisms and methods that differ.
In the end, as Malcolm X pointed out, they are both members of the dog family. They have shown historically that they have not had an inherent interest in the best outcomes for Black Americans. Every important legislative economic victory that Black Americans have won, and there have been only a few, have required considerable sacrifice on our part. Lives lost, physical injury, jail time, protest time, and scar on our historical psyche. So efforts have always been afoot toward attempts to establish or maintain a third party, especially a Black political party. Are you getting what I'm laying down? I'm really asking you guys this question. So far, are you seeing the bigger picture? It's been a game of psychological manipulation, making you think that you have a choice. You're going to choose one of the lesser evils, right? Oh, okay, I'm not going to do Republicans because they showed their asses in the 60s. They went from being a party that did a little bit to help Black Americans after slavery, and then they went to and became this like snooty, nasty, so-called rich, racist group of people. Then the Democrats always been the same, but what they did, they flipped the script and became this party that supposedly helps Black Americans. See how they flipped the script? But at the end of the day, what you get from Democrats and Republicans are the same. Nothing. Let's continue. Nevertheless, given a Black population of 40 plus million in 2015, and with over 25 million 18 years or older and eligible to vote, it seems reasonable that we would want to leverage this political power to obtain good for ourselves. The answer to why there is no Black political party will come forth as we proceed. The first simple reality comes out of research conducted by Black 1948. He is credited with having identified the underlying logic of the median vote theorem. It is an important theorem because it characterizes a very favorable outcome for Black Americans. In essence, when all side and half on the other is the one that carries the day wins the election. In the U.S., where the Democratic and Republican parties nearly split the total vote, including whites and other ethnic groups excluding Blacks, the Black vote usually represents the median vote and therefore decides most major elections. And this article was written in 2015. See how they always pound? Anybody notice that besides me? How they always come for us. They never go after the Asians. They never go after Hispanics. They never go after whites. They always go after us. Always. Because we're the ones who decide. The other ones, they can give a... I really want to curse so bad. Jesus. They can give a rat's ass about these other groups. We're the ones who decide. And at the end of the day, the other groups they get the benefits. Let's get on. Let's go on. Walton makes it abundantly clear that the two major parties and many third parties understood this situation very well. He points out that as early as 1843, the Liberty Party appointed Negro delegates to high positions on various committees. The Free Soilers elected Frederick Douglass as secretary of their 1852 political party convention. The People's or Populist Party and the Progressive Party sought actively and vigorously black membership in the late 19th and early 20th century, respectively. The doctrinal parties, socialist and communist parties, found it important to their development to seek to attract black membership. It goes without saying that the Republican and Democratic parties have mixed histories concerning their interest in securing black membership. Nevertheless, when politically expedient, all of these parties resorted to efforts to attract the black vote. Therefore, Black's theorem was well understood long before he espoused it and remains so today. Given our advantageous position in the political strategic game, it makes sense that black Americans will want to isolate ourselves to maintain our median voter position. One of the best ways to do this is to form our own political party and to use that political party to leverage that median vote to secure the related benefits that can be secured. See, they want us to continue to run around like chickens without a head or dogs chasing the tail, because once we come together and have our own party, we're the ones who are going to always make the decision. We're the ones that are going to go rally over here and give this party the strength and power they need, or we're going to rally over there. But when we're all in the middle and don't unify, it's like they take advantage. Oh, let me go on. I'm so tired of saying the same thing. Let's go on. The second simple reality is that black Americans have essentially acted as our own political party historically. At the end of the day, we are the ones who got the job done. Nobody else helped us. You had people who were demagogues and pretended like they were helping us, but at the end of the day, we got the job done. Let's go on. That is, blacks have been nearly monolithic, either voting for the Republican Party when it was the party of Lincoln, and later for the Democratic Party as the party of Roosevelt, Kennedy, Johnson, Carter, Clinton, and unfortunately Obama. I said that. He didn't. The guy who wrote this article didn't say that. In other words, we vote mainly as a block, which is consistent with voting by political parties. For example, in 2012, 76 of black Americans polled indicated that 5% said they were Republicans, 16 were independent, and 3 were affiliated with other political parties or did not know their affiliations. When we form our own political party, voting as a block is likely to continue. The important change will be that we will have operationalized an organizational structure that can leverage more effectively the power of our voting block. As I said, if we come together and have our own political party, they won't be able to tell us anything, and they will not be able to continue to psychologically manipulate us and play on our emotions, and they won't be able to tell us nothing. Let's continue. Forming a black political party and voting as a block may seem anomalous in light of the nearly 50-year trend of the four-way disintegration of black America. We believe that this trend is by design. However, we can design an effort to reverse the trend. Is it not logical that we look into the future and envision a path that is most favorable for us? Political strength is in numbers. Therefore, we should see the future benefit on leveraging our growing population and median voter status and make a decision to form a black political party that can produce the benefits that we desire. Stop voting for these parties that help other people out. It's like we build the mansion, we build this big ass house, but everybody else run and move and live into the house before us. Aren't you tired of that? Oh, let's continue. Beginning in earnest in the early 1960s, black political parties in their two varieties, parallel, satellites, and independent parties, sprung up to give voice to Black Americans' fundamental rights and critical needs. Walton does a superb job of chronicling the rise and disappearance of these parties. They focus mainly on local and state politics. The Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, Ondies County Freedom Organization, also known as the Black Panther Party, and the National Democratic Party of Alabama. Who can forget Fannie Lou Hamer's exploits at the 1964 Democratic National Convention in Atlantic City, New Jersey? However, probably the most instrumental personality in the rise of these political parties was Stokely Carmichael, who and her ally coined the phrase Black Power as part of his efforts to build support for Black political parties in Mississippi. Moving forward to the late 1960s and the early 1970s, Black political parties with strong national interests surfaced. The most notable of these parties were the Peace and Freedom Party and the National Black Political Convention, which led to the formation of the National Black Political Assembly. While the latter was well organized and attracted significant support, at least initially, only the former actually placed Black candidates on presidentia. Walton reveals that a lack of political maturity on the part of the party's members prevented each of these Black political parties from achieving significant longevity. In combination, a failure to attract enough Black votes, the absence of significant financial support, and changing times, mainly integration of the American society, including political parties, caused Black political parties to dissolve, align with other third parties, or merge with the two major political parties. It could be argued that the latter reason is the most important contributor to the demise of the Black political parties. It is true that all these Black political parties had as a raison d'etre opening doors to Black political participation in the nation. Once the nation began to soften on permitting Black participation in political affairs, the primary reason for the existence of Black political parties faded. But as always, things change as time elapses. In this case, Black Americans now have new strategic, political, economic, and social interests, and therefore have new reasons for forming a Black political party. Therefore, the operative question is, how do we raise one? Want to leave a legacy? The difficulties that were experienced historically in raising and sustaining a Black political party not disparage current day leadership that is interested in optimizing political outcomes for Black Americans. In fact, it seems reasonable that selected relatively wealthy Black Americans have dabbled in politics as important promoters of candidates should have a desire to solidify their legacies in this life by collaborating to raise a Black political party today. Think of Oprah, Richard Parsons, Russell's, oh God. Remember, this was in 2015. Jay-Z, Beyonce, and in a few wealthy athletes such as LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and up-and-comers such as Cam Newton and Russell Wilson. Together, they represent a solid base for gathering the finances and the wherewithal to start a process of raising a Black political party. Add in Kathy Hughes and we organize access to at least a couple of television networks and a radio network to use to publicize the effort. What greater legacy would one want to leave behind, which would, like the current Democratic and Republican parties, stand for well over 150 years? It is nearly impossible today to evolve the type of legacy that has been left to us by the likes of Paul Coffey, Gabriel Processor, Denmark Vesey, David Walker, Nathaniel Turner, Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, and so on. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. However, by making an effort to raise a black political party, the aforementioned wealthy black personalities of today could defy the status quo and strike a blow for securing rights and benefits for black Americans. Woo! I wanted to say something, but I'm not. Let's keep it moving. We should not be confused that a black political party can or should emerge in full bloom. We should recall that in 1854, today's Republican Party began with a gathering of a few committed activists in a one-room schoolhouse in Ripton, Wisconsin. Consider the party's power today. Similarly, a black political party can grow over time into a powerful instrument which can wrest from the political process in this country the types of benefits that we so richly deserve. To achieve such growth, the black American body politic cannot afford to sit and do nothing. If wealthy black Americans light the political party fire, then very eligible black American voters should keep the fire burning by being a card-carrying party member, and should reflect political maturity by contributing financially and politically to the party on an ongoing basis. In short, the answer to this question is the same things that the two major political parties can do, but probably on a smaller scale. After some thought, we arrive at four important objectives that a black political party might achieve at a minimum. 1. Create what black America needs most: operational jobs as well as jobs in the broader economy. In other words, a black political party must have operational staff members across the nation. More importantly, assuming that the party is able to operate effectively, it should be able to influence in social and economic policies in order to create continuously a significant supply of new jobs for black Americans in the broader economy. 2. Linked to the first objective, a black political party should be able to create leverage for black Americans and enable us to obtain more of the benefits that we desire from the political, economic, and social system. Critical to this objective, a well-organized party should enable us to punish politically those who defect from the political strategy that we establish for ourselves. And we can also, if we had our own party, we can also go to these construction sites in our community that don't hire us and shut them down. Let's continue. Linked to the second objective, a black political party should help us to assemble a structure that can facilitate the formulation and monitoring of a long-term political, economic, and social strategic plan, something that have been sorely missing from our play in the national strategic game from the outset. As an excellent side benefit, a black political party should enable us to extend our knowledge concerning how to operate political systems in the event that we found a nation of our own at some point in the future. If a black political party satisfies all or most of these objectives, then it would have been well worth its creation. As already discussed, we have a history of creating political parties and even managing major political parties in the U.S. For example, Ron Brown served as chairman of the Democratic National Committee in the late 80s and early 90s, and was instrumental in securing the presidency for Bill Clinton. Lord Jesus, you see how we always push people up? Anyway, let's go on. More recently, Michael Steele served as chairman of the Republican Party during the 2009-2011. Consequently, achieving the aforementioned objectives should not be new territory. Rather, the creation and the sustainment of a black political party will mark the first time that we will fulfill these objectives strictly for ourselves as an important and significant player on America's political stage? Why is it that we have the stamina and fuel and effectiveness to boost other people up who end up not doing a damn thing for us, and then when it comes to us, it's like we like dead in the water? Well, I'm not speaking for myself, but it's like black folks are dead in the water. Let's continue. In a political world where million-dollar donors and political action committees rule the day, only large actions influence outcomes significantly. A large action that black Americans can implement to influence outcomes is to organize ourselves as a political party and to throw our political weight around as a sizable voting bloc. Failure to adopt this approach may effectively limit considerably our voice in American politics, despite possessing over 20 million eligible votes and serving as the median voter. We always run and rally behind everybody else, and at the end of the day, these people don't do anything for us. Just be real with it. Wake up out of this fictional world that you force yourself to be in, fictional, manipulative, abusive world that black folks have allowed themselves to be in, and deal with reality that these parties have not done anything to make our lives better. Yet they get your financial support, those who support them financially, and they get your support when you vote. Let's go on. Too often in the marketplace of ideas concerning black Americans, those participating in the dialogue pose problems without proposing solutions. In this case, the problem is that black Americans are not benefiting politically as we should because we're not leveraging our median voter status. These essay proposes that we solve this problem at least in part by establishing a black political party. The party would enable us to organize ourselves and establish a formal structure that should permit us to bargain with the powers that be our votes in exchange for political, economic, and social benefits that we choose. Of course, obtaining these forecasted results depends in large measure on the quality of our leadership. Organizing and sustaining a black political party is no guarantee that these benefits will occur. In other words, establishing a black political party must be part of a broader indicator that we have achieved a certain degree of political maturity, including the ability to hold our leadership accountable. Just like we need to hold these black community leaders accountable and black politicians accountable. I don't see nobody doing that. It is our choice whether we take responsibility for making a black political party a reality. Casual observation will tell us that other minority groups are leaning in this direction. If we and a broader nation stand by idly, we will find that not only Hispanics form their own political party, but they will have also rewritten completely the political demographic landscape in the form of Latinofornia, New Latinico, Latinx, and Latina Rider. We are already close to the point where we look up after these generations and find that another immigrant group has entered the U.S. at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder and has found its way completely around us to a superior political, economic, and social position. If we are wise, then we will not allow this to occur, but will form our own political party and then leverage it to elevate our own position. The time for action is now. And this guy wrote this. I'm sorry, not this guy. What is his name? Brooks B. Robinson, PhD, wrote this essay in 2015. Here we are in 2014, watching our communities be overrun with people who have no lineage, in this country. who have no roots, who are 2 seconds in, and they're shoving them on top of you black folks. You know, I say to people all the time, people can only treat you the way you allow them to treat you. And that's all I'm going to say. There's nothing else I can say. That was profound enough. You're allowing these people to treat you like this, and why should they stop? Why should they stop? They treat you the way they want to treat you, and then they see what you still do. You still have some foolish black people running behind these 2 political parties, swearing up and down. And at the end of the day, after you give them your vote and support, you sitting there like, you know, envision yourself sitting on the curb with your hands in your head in your hands, looking like, what the F do I do now? I done just stood behind these people again, and I don't have anything to show for it. Okay, so I'm about to close up shop. I hope this information was beneficial to you. So thanks again for your support. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. It helps the channel out a lot. Thank you so much. Be safe. See you in the next video, and God bless you guys.